Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. So when the world is crazy as it is today, I like to retreat into the comfort of the worlds of Ray Bradbury. Today we're going to take a look at his story Heart Transplant, which is the second of 25 short stories in his 2002 collection, One More for the Road, which we kicked off just a few days ago. If you're new to the channel, the way this works is I do a brief synopsis of what happens in the story, all the plot, action, character, and then just to wrap up with a very light analysis of what I take away from the story. Is it a good Ray Bradbury story? Is it worth your time to read? How do I feel about the whole thing? All right then, so a man and a woman, both married to other people, are having an affair. They're in a hotel room, they're laying back in the bed, they've just had sex, and they're staring up at the ceiling. As things grow quiet, the woman suddenly speaks, and she sort of asks, do you think you could ever fall in love with your own wife again? And he sort of hints that, maybe in recent months she's been acting a lot more like the woman he married, the woman he loved, and she suggests that something similar is happening to with her and her younger husband, Bob. She begins to think about it, and she suggests that it'd be great if they could somehow transplant their hearts, and be in the correct bodies, with the correct hearts, loving the correct people at the correct time. And then she cooks up this idea of sort of laying back there in bed and making a wish and wishing very, very hard together that they could fall in love with their spouses again, in the right bodies. And of course, this is in fact impossible, but they lay there and they try and they fall asleep and they try to do it nonetheless. She wakes up and he hears her and she's fluttering around the room and she's seems all happy, and she gets on the phone and she calls her husband and tells him that, she's coming home. And she's like, it worked for me. Did it work for you? And he says, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm going to, you go on, you head home. I'm going to stay behind. I'm going to call my wife Anne while you are gone. And the woman, the lover, leaves the room, and he sits on the edge of the bed and sort of does not make a phone call. And he sort of looks at himself in the mirror and says, liar, you're a liar. And sort of end of story. Yeah, so it is a solid little story about the peculiarities of the human heart, sort of not the heart wanting what the heart seems to want, and the way that our sort of passions and our loves don't necessarily always match up with the right people at the right time and right place. And there's a line in the story that mentions about how it's unfortunate that we're sort of expected to love one person for our entire lives after we become married, and yet it's very difficult to do because we each change, and men and women seem to change a little bit different at different times in their evolutionary process as human beings. But really, it's sort of like an adult version of Freaky Friday without actually doing any body switching. Think instead just the wishful thinking of a woman who is desperately trying to right her wrongs and correct her mistakes and get back to her husband, but also she needs her husband to be the person that she expects of him. So it's a very difficult situation, and when people spend enough time in these situations, they develop weaknesses, and it leads to these affairs, which aren't typically done out of malice. I think it was just out of desperation and a need for a different kind of love. The woman, at least in this situation, actually grows out of her midlife crisis, but it's unclear whether the man actually does or not. I sort of get the idea that he wants to. He doesn't want to be this person, but at the same time, he can't convince himself, in fact, that he should go back to his wife. It seems that he's probably still in love with the woman he's having an affair with. All of these things are a little bit unclear. I think deliberately on the part of Ray Bradbury, but it is hard to tell. It'd be nice to have a little bit more, a little bit less ambiguity in some of these issues, but it's still a decent story. It's not 100% convincing because sort of the ending's a little bit abbreviated. It feels like it should have went on a little bit more, been a little bit more specific. But I think it's better to be a little bit too short than it is to be too long for a story and to lose people. Bradbury tends to keep things short, sharp, to the point, and I think it served him well across his career. For the most part. Once in a while you get these stories where it doesn't quite feel like you get the full fulfillment that you expect out of the conclusion, but here we are, reading our 262nd Ray Bradbury short story together on Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. Yeah, regardless of its flaws, I would say I recommend this story. So if you have a copy of One More for the Road, be sure to read story number 2, Heart Transplant. Going to be coming back to you in a couple of days with another story called Quid Pro Quo, which is the third of 25 stories, and our 263rd story overall on Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. If you don't have a good book to curl up with, go outside, get in nature, get in touch with the earth. Try to avoid all the shit that's going on the news that's dragging us down. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.